In this video, we're going to factor by grouping. And in 1, it says factor by grouping. In A, we have ax plus 3y plus ay plus 3x. And the first thing they want us to do is group pairs of terms with common factors. So we can see that we have two terms that have a factor of x. So I'm going to write this as ax plus 3x plus, I have two terms with factors of y, so I have 3y plus ay. And now in my first two terms, I can factor an x out. So I have an x, and if I factor an x out of the first two terms, I'm left with a plus 3 plus my second two terms, I have a common factor of y, and then I'm left with 3 plus a, which could also be written as a plus 3. And now we want to factor out the common binomial, and our common binomial is a plus 3. So I have a plus 3, and what I'm left with is x plus y. And now they want us to check. So we're going to check by multiplying our two binomials together. And to do that, we're going to use the FOIL method. So I have ax, my outer terms are ay, my inner terms are 3x, and my last terms are 3y. And we got back to the same polynomial that we started with, so we factored correctly. In B, we have 2x squared plus 2xy minus 3x minus 3y, and they want us to group pairs of terms with common factors. And our polynomial is already grouped together. We have a common factor of x in the first two terms and a common factor of 3 in the second two terms. So I'm going to rewrite it just the way it is. And now we want to factor out the greatest common factor from each pair. In our first two terms, we have a common factor of 2x. And if we factor a 2x out of the first two terms, we're left with x plus y. In our second two terms, we have a common factor of negative 3. And when we factor a negative 3 out, we're left with x plus y. And now we want to factor out the common binomial, which is x plus y. And we're left with 2x minus 3. And now to check, we're going to multiply the two binomials together, and we get 2x squared minus 3x plus 2xy minus 3y. And that's the same polynomial that we started with. In C, we have mp minus np minus m plus n, and we want to group the pairs of terms with common factors. So I'm going to group my two terms that have m in them. So I have mp minus m, and now I want to have my two terms with n in them. So I have minus np plus n, and I want to factor out the common factor from mp and m, and that's going to be m. And when we factor m out of the first two terms, we're left with p minus 1. In the second two terms, I'm going to factor a negative n out, and I'm going to factor a negative n out so my p is positive, just like it was for the first two terms. So I have negative n factored out, and I'm left with p minus 1. And now we want to factor out our common binomial, and that's p minus 1. And when I factor p minus 1 out, I'm left with m minus n. And now they want us to check. So we're going to multiply the two binomials together. I have p times m, mp, minus np, minus m, plus n, and we got back to our original polynomial. In D, we have 4abx minus 4b squared x minus 4ab plus 4b squared. And the first thing we want to do is factor out the greatest common factor. So if we look at each of our terms, we can see that we have a 4 in every term, so we can factor out a 4. And we have a b in every term, so we're going to factor out a b. And when we factor out 4b, we're left with ax minus bx minus a plus b. And now we want to group pairs of terms with common factors. So we're going to have 4b, and in parentheses, I'm going to group my two terms with an a. So I have ax minus a, and then I have two terms with a b. So minus bx plus b. And now we want to factor out the greatest common factor from each pair. So in my first two terms, I have a common factor of a, and that's going to leave me with x minus 1. And in my second two terms, I have a common factor of b, but I'm going to factor out a negative b so that my x term is positive, so I'm left with x minus 1. And now we want to factor out the common binomial, so I'm going to have 4b, and our common binomial is x minus 1. And when we factor out x minus 1 from inside the brackets, we're left with a minus b. And now they want us to check. So in order to multiply our three factors together, I'm going to first multiply 4b by x minus 1, and I get 4bx minus 4b times a minus b. And now I'm going to have 4bx times a is 4abx minus 4b squared x minus 4ab plus 4b squared. And we got back to our original polynomial that we started with. And that's the video on factor by grouping.